Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Fans Talk TNA. Fans Talk TNA is a short conversation about what's going on in the world of TNA and Impact Wrestling, and you can join the discussion exclusively on TNAMecca.com. My name is Garvin, and we're joined today by Nick. Say hello, Nick.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, we're both from Fans Talk Wrestling, so you can check out FTWpodcast.com for more about us and the other things that we do. On this episode, we're going to continue our preview of TNAMecca.com's Best of 2014 awards. For the first 20 days in December, there will be a new poll posted with the nominations that you guys contributed to so that we can vote on who we feel most deserves to win each award. Last week, we talked about the MVP of the year, Newcomer of the Year, Match of the Year, Comeback of the Year, X Division Star of the Year, and the Holy Shit Moment of the Year. Today, we've got 6 more to go over, so let's just go ahead and get started. First up, Wrestler of the Year. We've got 3 nominations for that. Austin Aries, who is a 2-time X Division champion. We have Lashley, who held the world title for 132 days, and Bobby Roode, who is your current reigning TNA World Heavyweight Champion. So, out of these 3, who would you think will win this award?
I would personally give the nod to Bobby Roode. I think he's got the best body of work and most extensive body of work out of these 3. Which is to say that all 3 have had some great matches this year. Austin Aries, especially when he's been on. It's just the fact that there have been long stretches of time where he hasn't been on. Lashley, he debuted almost halfway through the year, and again, he's had some good matches, but I think Roode outshines him in that capacity. And again, he's had the most extensive body of work. There was that storyline period where he missed about 7 or 8 weeks due to quote-unquote suspension.
Correct.
But yeah, he's always been in the title picture, at or near it, and I think his matches have reflected that.
Yeah, out of these 3, I mean, I like Austin Aries a lot. Again, he held the X Division twice earlier in the year. Those matches are always great. His world title challenge against Lashley, that was a great match as well. So he does great work for sure. Wrestler of the Year, he definitely deserves to be in consideration for. Lashley as well, world title champion for 132 days. The guy did fantastic stuff in ring. But overall, just looking at where he was at the beginning of the year, where he was even in the middle of the year to where he is now, and that's Bobby Roode. You have to look at him as your big success story of the year. He defeated Lashley for that title at the end of the year. Despite, he also lost to Angle at the top of the year, was involved in all that crud that you talked about as far as, being suspended, and plus he was on Team Dixie, losing side of that. But just, where he was to where he is now, I think just being a success story should qualify him as Wrestler of the Year. And every single match that he was ever involved in was good. It was very good. So, yeah, so I'm going to go with Bobby Roode here as well. Best feud or rivalry. We've got 3 nominations here. We've got Bully Ray versus Dixie Carter, the Wolves versus the Hardys versus Team 3D, and Gunner versus James Storm. Who do you see as having the best feud or rivalry in 2014?
Bully versus Dixie, hands down. Wolves, Hardys, and 3D had a great series of matches, but I don't think that really constitutes a feud or a rivalry. Not when it's just for matches like that. They didn't have anything going into it. They didn't have anything going out of it. The Hardys had a little bit of a program going on, but again, I don't really consider that a feud. I am really not sure why Gunner versus Storm is on this list, to be honest. I think that's doing a disservice to some of the other feuds, like Magnus versus Eric Young, or MVP versus Bobby Roode, or MVP versus Dixie Carter.
Right.
Gunner and Storm put on some decent work together. As I mentioned last week, the moment where Storm smashed a beer bottle over Gunner's dad's head, that was a pretty powerful moment. I really enjoyed that segment. But yet the matches those two put on together and just the overall storyline, I don't think that really outshines other feuds that took place. So out of these 3, definitely Bully versus Dixie.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would definitely. Well, I did. I nominated MVP versus Bobby Roode. I still think that's the best feud of the year. But out of these three, you have to go with Bully Ray versus Dixie Carter. It was the best story. It had longevity. It wasn't just a set of matches like the Wolves and Hardys and Team 3D were, it was good, but it didn't have the whole story involved. It wasn't, segments and matches and Dixie putting Bully Ray through all of the garbage that she put him through and vice versa. There was a lot of back and forth of that. And, so for me, out of these three, Bully Ray versus Dixie Carter definitely has to be best feud of 2014.
I think an honorable mention actually ought to go out to EC3 versus Kurt Angle. That was a pretty strong rivalry going back and forth.
Yeah, that was a good one too. That was actually was midpoint of the year. Was that happening? Yeah, that was about the midpoint of the year.
Thereabouts.
Another good feud was Bobby Roode versus Kurt Angle, which ended 2013, but they had another match at the top of the year that really put the icing on the cake, basically. So, yeah,
definitely.
There was, but at the end of the day, that's a good sign for TNA. There was a lot to choose from here as far as very good stories, very good feuds, very good rivalries. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, TNA's Unsung Hero of 2014. We've got Eric Young, Jeremy Borash, or James Storm. What do you got?
I think Eric Young and James Storm really got their props, all the props they deserved thus far. Out of the three of these guys, it's definitely got to be Borash, simply due to the work he's put in. He's responsible for basically all their UK stuff. He's pulling double or triple or quadruple duty backstage on regular shows, sometimes announcing, sometimes interviewing, sometimes doing online stuff. He's definitely the workhorse of TNA as far as what he does for that company, and a lot of it's off screen, so a lot of the time you're not even aware of what he's doing. So yeah, out of the three of these guys, definitely Borash.
Yeah, when I put these notes together and I looked at these nominations, I laughed, and even announcing this here on Fans Talk TNA, I laughed by saying Jeremy Borash as the unsung hero, but just thinking about everything that he's done, like you said, as far as like all the work that he's putting in behind the scenes, he's doing multiple TV shows for TNA, all the YouTube stuff that they do. The guy's all over the place and is totally supporting them. Totally making sure all the wheels are in motion. And even at live events, the guy is going like in between every single match during like those commercial breaks. He would always come out and keep the crowd into it, keep the crowd involved, and really keeping that momentum going from match to match. So yeah. It's funny that we're looking at like a backstage guy rather than what's going on in ring or even on TV a lot of times. But I'm gonna have to agree. Jeremy Borash, unsung hero of the year.
And there's a few different guys that you could substitute for just on-screen stuff, like the Bromans.
Mm-hmm.
They've been solid pretty much all year. DJZ coming up with the whole gimmick that it goes unnoticed or unremarked or even ridiculed a lot of the time, but that little faction there has put in a lot of solid work against the Wolves, whoever you could think of.
Totally, yeah. The Bromans constantly put on good matches, and they consistently make whoever they're facing look great, even the Menagerie. So, yeah, but no, but out of this list though, yeah, you've got to go with Jeremy Borash.
Mm-hmm.
Story of the year. We've got EC3 and Rockstar Spud's friendship turned breakup. We've got James Storm's revolution and Bully Ray's quest to put Dixie through a table. This is probably the hardest one that we're going to talk about tonight, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely difficult. For the purpose of this conversation, I think you can nix the revolution just because it hasn't really taken off yet. There's been some strong build-up, and I really, really want to see where this is going, but it hasn't really reached that climactic moment yet. Yeah, it's really tough to choose between Bully versus Dixie and the saga of Spud and EC3.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with EC3 and Spud. That's been as powerful, as strong a story as Bully versus Dixie is, I have just been vastly more entertained by EC3 and Spud. The hunt for Willow, Spud making all these messianic references to EC3. I specifically remember a shtick about the Virgin Mary holding EC3 in her arms. These two are just gold when they're put together, whether it's as a unit or as opponents. I love what these two do in the ring together, and I hope they continue working together for many months to come.
No argument. Best story, best thing on TV each and every week is what EC3 and Rockstar Spud do. So I am completely in agreement. International Star of the Year is the next award. We've got Rockstar Spud, Bram, and the Great Sonata. I'm going to start this one off. It's odd. Like, we have a lot of love for what Rockstar Spud is doing. We have a lot of hope for what Bram has done, but neither has really outshone the amount of spotlight that they have put on Great Sonata this year. You know, what he did for them, in the beginnings of the relationship with Wrestle One at the start of the year, him holding the X Division title. You've also got what he's doing now with the Great Sonata, and of course what they just did at the pay-per-view. Names dropped. What's the name?
Bound for Glory.
Bound for Glory. There we go. It's just he was like the main focal point there. Well, one of the main focal points for that. So to me, it's got to be Great Sonata, but lots of love for Rockstar Spud. Lots of hope and expectations almost for what Bram can do in the future, though.
Yeah, I think I gotta agree with that. Spud, as great as he's been, his contributions haven't really put TNA on the map with people. It's been very much catering to those that already are here. And Bram, yeah, I absolutely hope for great things from him in the future, but he doesn't really have that star power yet. And maybe if they'd focused on Magnus a bit more and hadn't really let that drop, like putting Bram on Magnus when he was coming off his title reign, that absolutely made sense as far as building Bram up. But then they both kind of fell into obscurity, and Magnus is kind of an afterthought where Bram is concerned now.
Right.
So Bram's not there yet. Sonata, on the other hand, he is the focus of the relationship between TNA and Wrestle One. He's had a feud going on with the Great Muta, of all people, who is a legend anywhere you talk about. So, and what he's doing with the Revolution moving forward, that is definitely going to build him up even more. So, International Star of the Year, definitely Sonata.
All right, we're going to end this with the most memorable moment of the year. Again, all of these are all pulling nominations that you guys sent in to TNA Mecca. They're posting one every day for the first 20 days of December, so definitely check out TNAMecca.com and put your votes in. Definitely let your voice be heard with that. The last one we're going to talk about today is the most memorable moment of 2014. The nominations are Bully Ray powerbombs Dixie Carter through a table, MVP debuts in Glasgow, and Bobby Lashley returns at Lockdown. What's the most memorable moment out of those three for you?
I almost want to choose something else, just given the prominence it's had in the polls thus far. But as far as most memorable moment goes, you really have to go with the powerbomb. Hashtag it happened.
Right.
Nobody thought it would. There was so much build up to it, and they teased it so many times. When it finally happened, people were on their feet in a venue where, when TNA first showed up in the Manhattan Center, there was ECW chants all around and nobody was chanting TNA. Mm-hmm. By the time that moment happened, it was almost all TNA chants. And that angle had a lot to do with it, and it capped off with that moment. I think both MVP and Lashley's debuts were both big moments, and I especially popped pretty hard for MVP's debut, especially when the Wolves let him in. That was a pretty great moment, but I don't think anything that happened this year is going to measure up to hashtag it happened.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I am saying that segment, Bully Ray Powerbomb Dixie Carter. I mean, that seems to be almost every other award we're bringing up that segment, that moment. That right there suggests just how powerful this has been for the TNA audience. So yeah, I'm with you. MVP debut in the Glasgow, that was fantastic. I was very pleased when I saw that. Bobby Lashley returning at Lockdown, also a very good moment, but nothing stands even near the level that Bully Ray powerbombing Dixie Carter, just the level that the crowd was at. It was just, nothing even matches it. So, all right, well, that is it for this conversation. We're going to be doing this for, I think, another 2 episodes. We're just going to be talking about and previewing, predicting these awards that are going to be coming out for the first 20 days of December. It's all on TNAMecca.com. Get your votes in. I think you got a week to vote on each one based on the date that it was posted. So definitely get your votes in quickly. But that's all the time we have for this conversation. We'll be reading and responding to your comments. So if there's a topic you want us to talk about, let us know. And make sure to visit TNAMecca.com if you haven't already, as there's new content posted every single day, as well as new conversations to be had with the rest of the TNA Mecca community. Once again, this is Fans Talk TNA. It's been brought to you by TNA Mecca and FTWpodcast.com. For Nick, this is Garvin saying goodbye. See you again first thing next Wednesday here on Fans Talk TNA. Have a great week.